This Torah class is brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.
Trei Asar Sefer Zechariah, Parak Ches, Pasuk Vav. Now we're speaking about Nevuah, prophecy of consolation. Koyamar Hashem Tzvakos. So says Hashem, Master of Hosts. And we've already pointed out many times that this is a common refrain in Sefer Zechariah to refer to the Rebbeinu Shalom as Master of Hosts. Ki pale be'enei she'eres ha'amazeh v'ayam elahem. Just like it will be wondrous in the eyes of the remnant of the people in those days, gam be'enai pale. In my eyes it will also be wondrous. No Hashem tzvakos, says Hashem, Master of Hosts. In other words, just like you'll be surprised by the great kindness and miraculous nature of the period of time of the future days, I likewise will be surprised. Now, that's a very interesting comment. It's one thing that we're surprised by Hashem's nisim v'neflais, but that Hashem should be surprised, He's the one who's doing it. No, nobody should be surprised by what they do. You know, sometimes a person say, I surprised myself. I didn't realize I could do that. But that the Rebbeinu Shalom should say, just like you'll be surprised, I will likewise be surprised, says Rashi. Ki pale, just like it's a wonder, be'einayim, in their eyes, ha'chesed ha'gadol asher esalhem, the great kindness I'll do to them. Gam be'einayi pale. So what does that mean? What's going to be a wonder in God's eyes? Eich shavti min hacharoin hagadol. How I was able to refrain my great wrath and anger that really I should have allowed to affect. The Ibn Ezra points out, what does this mean? This means, first he brings down the Pshat of Rabbi Yehuda HaLevi. Rabbi Yehuda HaLevi was the great Kuzari, author of the Kuzari, that we have to read this pasuk like the following. Koyamar Hashem Tzvakos. Ki pale be'enei she'eres ha'amazeh v'ayam. It may be wondrous in your eyes, but we have to add one letter. Hey, the hey hatema. Hagam be'enai pale. But you think it will be wondrous in my eyes? In other words, it doesn't say that, but that's how you have to read it. So he brings down from Yehuda HaLevi that the hey hatema is missing. It's as if it was written Hagam be'enai pale. And there is precedent for such a thing, like in the pasuk Ata ta'aseh melucha al Yisrael, where it's missing the hey hatema. Really, it should say ha'ata. But the Ibn Ezra does not agree with that. But rather, what it means is the following: that just like it's wondrous in your eyes, it will be wondrous in my eyes, not that I'm surprised by what I'm going to do, but the future miracles are so much greater than the whatever was, that it will be considered a wonder in my eyes, because it is not something I do every day, and it's not something I ever even did before. Okay. That is how the Ibn Ezra explains it. However, the Gemara in Masechta Sukkah, and Daf Nun Beis Amud Aleph, brings down a third pshat. That here we have an amazing thing, where as far as I know, this is the only time in the entire Torah Rebbeinu Shalom says, I'm telling you that what I'm going to do is so wondrous, even I'll be surprised by it. In other words, this will be the greatest wonder in history. So the Gemara in Sukkah says this refers to the slaughter of the Yetzer Hara. That the Gemara in Sukkah says, Hashem's going to take the Malach HaMaves, He's going to shecht him. Once we learned how Rebbeinu Shalom going to shecht him, He's going to remove the letter Mem from the Samach Mem and then the Aleph Lamed. Rebbeinu Shalom is going to shecht the Yetzer Hara. And the Gemara says that the tzaddikim will also be one in amazement of this, because the Gemara says Hashem is destined to take the Yetzer Hara and to shech the Yetzer Hara, and to the tzaddikim and the Rishaim, they're both going to wonder, and that is how the tzaddikim are going to see the Yetzer Hara. It's going to look like a tremendous mountain to them, and they're going to say to themselves, "How did we ever overcome it?" And the Rishaim are going to look at the Yetzer Hara, and it's going to look like a very thin hair, and they're going to wonder, how could we not have overcome it? So the idea is that really tzaddikim, you look at it, tzaddik, it was easy for them. No, in the beginning it was very hard for them. They made it easy for themselves. You look at a Rosh, you say, it's so hard for him. No, it's not so hard for him. Really, in the beginning it was easy for him. He made it hard on himself. Now, what is the idea that to the Rishaim, the Yetzer Hara is going to look like a hair? So, the Gemara says in Masechta Yuma, that the Anshe Knesset Hagdolah daven to abolish the Yetzer Hara for Avodah Zarah. And a big lion came out of the Beis HaMikdash, and they caught it, and that's how they vanquished the inclination for Avodah Zarah. But one hair escaped. That's the hair of the Yetzer Hara. Okay, and then the Gemara says, but not only will the Tzaddik and Rishon be amazed by this event, even the Rebbeinu Shalom himself will be amazed by it. And the Gemara cites this pasuk, Gam be'einai yipalei. Even in my eyes, this will be a wonder. Okay. Now we continue. Pasuk Zayin. Kayomar Hashem Tzvakos. So says Hashem, Master of Hosts. Hineni Moshias Ami Me'eretz Mizrach. Behold, I will save my people from the land of the east. Ume'eretz Mevai HaShamesh. And from the land of the west. What does that mean, from the east and the west? What's the east and what's the west? Well, Pashup Shada means from one end of the world to the other end of the world. The east, one end, to the west, to the other end. But the Ibn Ezra says more specifically, the east refers to Bavel. Bavel is in the east. And Persia is in the east. And Mitzrayim and Assyria is considered the west. Now, why Ashur is considered the west?
Why is it west? This is south, not west.
But if you're only using, it's west. It's west also.
Tzafon is according to Yirmiyahu is the north, and that's Bavel.
Right. But really, Bavel is east, more east than north, even though it says Mitzafon Tipasa Hara.
Yeah.
But we once discussed why it calls Bavel the north. Okay. I will bring them v'shachnu b'sach Yerushalayim. They will dwell in Jerusalem. V'hayu li la'am. They will be to me as a nation. V'ani eya lohem le'lokim. And I will be a God for them. Be'emes, in truth, of tzedakah and in righteousness. Now, what does it mean that they will be my people? That's a language of endearment. Hashem will show His special concern and love for us, and He will be our God. In other words, He will show us special hashgacha pratis. We say this every morning. Hu Hashem Elokeinu, b'chol haaretz mishpatav. He is Hashem our God. In all of the earth are His judgments. Yeah? So only Jewish people say this pasuk. Goyim don't have to say this pasuk in the morning. But if you're Jewish, every morning you say in Haidu, Hu Hashem Elokeinu, b'chol haaretz mishpatav. He is Hashem our God. In all of the earth are His judgments. What does one thing got to do with the other? He is Hashem our God. In all of the earth are His judgments. So I once heard, I think I heard many times from Victor Miller, Zechariah Bracha, means like this: Hu Hashem Elokeinu. He is Hashem our God. He's our God. He's concerned for us. He's worried about us. His focus is on us. And therefore, b'chol haaretz mishpatav. In all of the earth are His judgments. Everything Hashem does in the whole world is because of us. Like the Gemara says, if a ship is traveling from Goel to Aspania, from one port to another, it's only prosperous because of the Jewish people. If there's an earthquake on the other end of the world, it's because of the Jewish people. He's our God, and therefore whatever He does in the whole world, it's because of us. It's to wake us up, it's to punish, it's for us, it's relevant, it's only because of us. So here the Rebbe is saying, I will have that relationship with you. I will be your God. Now, what does it mean you will dwell in Yerushalayim? All Jews are going to dwell in Yerushalayim? That's not really such a good promise. It can be very cramped if all Jews dwell in Yerushalayim. There's not enough room for all Jews to live in Yerushalayim. What's Hashem saying? That all Jews are going to live actually in Yerushalayim. So, the Abar Benel, but you have on your pages the Metzudos. The Mitzudai says, Lo yiba lo yimar shekulam yashvu shama. It doesn't mean they're all going to live there. Kaloi tiktan ha'arz mechaz kulam. You think there's enough room in Yerushalayim? As it is nowadays, Yerushalayim is cramped, with only a small minority of the population living in Yerushalayim. What, every last Jew is going to live in Yerushalayim? It means like this. Haval ba lo yimar sheha'ir Yerushalayim tia Yerusha lekulam. Ki yia yad kulam shava ba yikma shekasa b'soif nevas yecheskel. That means it's like this. That until this point, Yerushalayim was built in the portion of Yehuda and Binyamin. So therefore it belongs to those two Shvatim. La'asid lavai, Yerushalayim will be lo yineschalka l'Shvatim. It will not be the possession of any particular Shevet. It will be a universal city. It will belong equally to all the Shvatim. So it means, b'shachnu b'sach Yerushalayim, it means it will be rightfully owned by all of Klal Yisrael. Okay. Pasuk Tes. Kayamar Hashem Tzvakos. So says Hashem, Master of Legions. Techezakna yedechem. Strengthen your hands. Rashi says, strengthen your hands to do what? To build and to complete the city. Don't be afraid from the Amei Haaretz that cause you to slacken and scare you. All steam ahead. Hashoimim bayam ha'ela es eis hadvarim ha'ela. Who should strengthen their hands? Those who these days listen to what I'm saying. What am I saying? Rashi says these words of Nechama from the Nevi'im. And these Nevi'im began to prophesy on the day that the foundation of the Beis Mikdash was laid in the second year of Daryavesh. And these Nevi'im have already proven themselves to be Nevi'ei MS. So, therefore, since they prophesied, these Nevi'im who are talking to you now and giving you Divrei Nechama, they've already established themselves as authentic Nevi'im from the beginning of the foundation of the Beis HaMikdash. And therefore you should rely on them now when they tell you Divrei Nechama. Now how did you test them? In other words, how do we know these Nevi'im are true? The Nevi'im come and say, things will be good, Mashiach will come, and you'll have everyone will come to Yerushalayim. We say, who are you? I don't believe you. So Hashem's saying you have to listen to them because they've already established themselves to be true Nevi'im. When? So Rashi points out, and this we're going to see in the upcoming Psukim, that a while ago, the Nevi'im told you, look at your finances, look at the difficulties you're having, that since you've been slacking off in building the Beis HaMikdash, things have been difficult, and you'll see, as soon as you strengthen yourselves to build, things will improve. And in fact, as soon as Klal Yisrael focused their efforts on rebuilding Yerushalayim, their situation did improve. And from there we see that these Nevi'im are true Nevi'im, and therefore now when they tell you, Divrei Nechama, you should accept what they're saying. Why? So look in Pasuk Yud. Pasuk Tes, because those of you who are listening today, Mipi HaNevi'im, from the prophets, Asher b'yom Yusad Beis Hashem Tzvakos, that on the day that the house of Hashem was founded, HaHeichal Lihibanos, the temple to be built, Ki Lifnei Hayom Imahem, before those days, Sechar Ha'adam Loiniya, people could not make rent. They could not make reward. They could not make parnasa. Uschar havehema, they could not make money renting out their animals. V'layotze v'lava, those who came out, those who came in, those who traversed Yerushalayim. Ein shalom, there was no peace. Min hatzar, from the adversaries. Ashalach es kol ha'am, and I provoked ish b'rei, one man against his friend. What does that mean? That means the following. Very often, what causes strife is lack of money. Often, countries go to war because they want more money. Families sometimes fight, there's not enough money. Husband and wife may fight, there's no parnasa. People get into fight when they're on edge. Food and parnasa is a source of strife. Food is a source of strife when there's not enough food. In fact, what's the word for bread? Lechem. Milasha in Melchama. What's the word for matzah? Matzah meriv, strife. All words for food are fighting. Why? Because what do people fight over? People fight over food, over money. So Hashem is saying that in those days, before you contributed, before you started to focus on rebuilding Yerushalayim, you didn't have food, and there wasn't peace. Not like those early days will I be to the remnant of this nation, Hashem Tzvakos, says Hashem, Master of Legions. Because now, Ki Zera HaShalom, you will have the seed of peace. Not like the earlier days, when there was strife, they will sow in peace. What is that? The Metzudas David emphasizes the point that we made, that through success in Zera, through success in harvesting and planting, maybe Hashalom. Because when there's no Tvua, people are stingy. They don't get along with other people, and it's a very big cause for Meriva and Sinna. But when there's ample livelihood, it makes it sometimes not. But it removes that impediment to peace. Hagefen titein peria, the vineyards will give forth its fruit. V'haaretz titein esivula, and the earth will give forth its produce. The hashamayim yitnu talam, the heavens will give forth their due. V'hinchalti es she'eres ha'amazah, es kalela, and I will bequeath, I will give as an inheritance to the remnant of this nation all the above mentioned. The haya, and it will be kasher heyisem klala b'agayim beis Yud beis Yisrael. Just like until now, you were a curse by the Goyim, house of Yehuda and house of Yisrael. Just like until now you were a curse to the nations, but now I will save you. V'yisam bracha, you'll be a blessing. Al tirod, fear not. Kechazakna yedechem, strengthen your hands. Accept the reports of the Nevi'im that are consoling you and promise you better times. They've already proven their authenticity. So, complete the job. Ki chayamar Hashem tzvakos. So says Hashem, Master of Legions. Kasher zamamti lahara lachem. Just as I plan to harm you, b'haktzef avosechem, I see when your fathers angered me. Amar Hashem tzvakos, says Hashem, Master of Legions. V'loi nichamti, and I did not relent. In other words, just like when you were not acting properly, I planned to harm you and I did not relent. But kein shavti zamamti bayim ha'ela, I will return and plan in those days laheitiv es Yerushalayim, to do good to Yerushalayim, this beis Yehuda, and to the house of Yehuda. Al tirob, fear not. Eila hadvarim, these are the things asher tasa that you should do. Okay, says Rabbi, this is what you need to do. Dabru emes, speak the truth. Ishas Rayehu, one man to his friend. You say it's not a big deal. It's a big deal. Yeah, it's easy to speak the truth. I'll call you later. Really? When's later in your definition? 100 years? 200 years? I'll see you later. I'll pay you later. I'll call you in 5 minutes. Umishbat, shalom. Umishpat, and judge, shalom, peace, shiftu b'sharechem. Judge in your gates. This pasuk should be familiar to everyone.
So it's the end of Pirkei Avos.
He nailed it. The last Mishnah in the first parak of Pirkei Avos, it says, Rav Shimon Gamliel Omer, Al shlosh hadvarim ha'olam kayam al ha-mishpat al hadin v'al ha-emes v'al ha-shalom shenemar emes u'mishpat shalom shiftu b'sharecha. The world stands on three things: truth, right? It's out of order. Al hadin v'al ha-emes v'al ha-shalom shenemar emes u'mishpat shalom shiftu b'sharechem. You see, when it's quoted in the Mishnah, it's taken out of context. So when it's quoted in the Mishnah, you read it, What are the three things the world stands on? Emes, Mishpat, and then we put a comma and Shalom. Shiftu b'sharechem. That's not what it says. It says Ish Esreyehu Dabru Emes Ish Esreyehu. Fine. Emes Mishpat Shalom. Shiftu b'sharechem. It really only says two things. Thing number one is Emes, and thing number two is Mishpat Shalom. But we wouldn't have known that had we not learned the pasuk in Zechariah. We would just take the Mishnah for granted. There's Emes and Mishpat and Shalom. That's not what it says. It's Emes and Mishpat Shalom, and that's why some Rishonim bring down.
It's in Smichus, Mishpat Shalom.
Right, it's right. Some of the Rishonim bring down that the correct gersa is to take this pasuk out. In fact, Rashi in Pirkei Avos removes the pasuk because the pasuk doesn't teach you three things. It's Emes and Mishpat Shalom. The Levush and the Machzor Vitri say the more meduyuk text of that Mishnah is remove the pasuk. However, there are Rishonim that keep the pasuk. Emes u'mishpat shalom shiftu b'sharechem. Now I want to tell you an amazing thing, a beautiful thing, really stunning. There is a medrash Pliya. The medrash Pliya says, Moshe Rabbeinu asked Rebbeinu Shalom, what does the world stand on? Hashem said, Deshe haaretz Deshe. That's what the world stands on. Moshe Rabbeinu had no idea what Hashem was talking about. So Hashem said, Moshe, don't you know the Beis HaMikdash is going to be destroyed? That's like a mystery medrash. Right, you hear it? Again, Moshe asked Hashem, what does the world stand on? Hashem says, Deshe haaretz Deshe. Moshe said, what are you talking about? Hashem said, you don't know what I'm talking about? The Beis HaMikdash, you know, is going to be destroyed. It's a mystery. What's Hashem saying? Deshe haaretz Deshe. Then Moshe says, I know what you're talking about. Then Hashem says, Beis HaMikdash is going to be destroyed. I'll ask you another question. The Mishnah says, Al shloisha dvarim ha'olam kayam. Al adin, ve'al emes, ve'al shalom. But the first Mishnah, that's Parak Aleph, Pasuk, Mishnah Yerches. Parak Aleph, Mishnah Aleph says, Al shloisha dvarim ha'olam oimed. Actually, the second Mishnah says, Al shloisha dvarim ha'olam oimed. Al ha-Torah, ve'al avodah, so it's a stira. Aleph Beis, Parak Aleph Mishnah Beis says Shlosh Dvarim Ha'olam Oimed Torah Avodah Gemilas Chasadim, and Parak Aleph Mishnah Yerches says Al Shlosh Dvarim Ha'olam Oimed Al Adin Ve'al Emes Ve'al Shalom. So does the world stand on learning Torah, doing Chesed and davening, or does it stand on justice, truth, and peace? Comes Rabbeinu Yoina. Rabbeinu Yoina says the correct girsa in Parak Aleph Mishnah Yerches is Al Shlosh Dvarim Ha'olam Kayam. And the correct girsa in Mishnah Aleph, Parak Aleph Mishnah Beis is Al Shlosh Dvarim Ha'olam Oimed. It means the following: the world was created in the merit of three things: Torah, Avodah, Gemilas Chasadim. But what gives the world a zechus to last and continue? Din, Emes, and Shalom. So the first Mishnah is saying why the world was created, what merit the world had to be created, and the other Mishnah says what merit does the world have to exist? So Chassid Yaivus says he doesn't understand Rabbeinu Yoina, because if the three zechusim of Torah, Avodah, and Gemilas Chasadim are enough of a zechus to create the world, certainly there are enough of a zechus to keep the world running once it was already created. You need bigger zechusim to bring something out of nothing than just to maintain something that's there already. So he says the following. He says, certainly, if the world could be created in the merit of Torah, Avodah, and Gemilas Chasadim, it could certainly be sustained in that merit. The problem is that once the Beis HaMikdash was destroyed, we don't have Avodah. Torah is Shvach HaMaisas. So the world can no longer exist once the Beis HaMikdash is destroyed in the merit of the three things that the world was created for. So therefore the Rebbe has to create three new pillars. What are the three new pillars? Din, emes, and shalom. They're not strong enough to create the world, but once the world has already been created, they're strong enough to keep it going. What are those three pillars? Din, shalom, emes. Rashi Tevos, Deshe. Din, shalom, emes. Tadshe haaretz, Deshe. Let the world sprout with Deshe. Din, shalom, emes. Deshe is din, shalom, emes. So now we understand. Moshe Rabbeinu asked Hashem, what does the world stand on? So Hashem said, Tadshe haaretz Deshe. Don't you know? Din, shalom, and emes. So Moshe Rabbeinu doesn't get it. Because that's not what it said in the first Mishnah of Pirkei Avos, in the second Mishnah of Pirkei Avos. The second Mishnah it says, Torah avodah gmos chasadim. So he's wondering, Rebbeinu Shalom, why are you telling me Deshe? Why are you telling me Din, Shalom, and Emes? You should say, Torah avodah gmos chasadim. So Hashem says, Moshe, don't you know the Beis HaMikdash is going to be destroyed? And the avodah is not going to be there anymore, and the Torah is going to be, So that I'm telling you what's going to keep the world going even when the Beis HaMikdash is destroyed. Din, Shalom, Emes. Tadshe haaretz Deshe. In fact, the Levush writes, that's why on the third day it says Kitayv twice. Because that's the day of Deshe. That's the day that Hashem revealed what keeps the world going. And if you have the three pillars of the world, then you have real Kitayv. Then you have a chance to have good in this world. Okay? So that's a very... it's a big secret, a big side. Tadshe haaretz Deshe. Deshe is din, shalom, emes. By the way, others learn, the Bach explains that what Rabbeinu Yonah means is that there are two things. In what merit was the world created, and in what merit does it stand? And then, practically speaking, what keeps society going? So you want to know what zechus the world has to be created? Torah avodah gmos chasadim. You want to know how society functions on a practical level? You need truth, you need people to be honest, you need some form of justice, and you need some semblance of peace. But it's not the merit, that's not the merit of the world. The merit of the world is Torah avodah gmos chasadim. You want to know day-to-day running of the world, how does it keep going? Din, shalom, and emes, tadshe haaretz Deshe. Okay, one more passage. Ve'ish es ras re'eyo al tachshavu. Let one man not think about the evil of his friend. B'vavchem in your hearts. In other words, sinas chinam. Rashi says he's warning them on sinas chinam. He knows that's what destroyed. That's what will destroy the second Beis HaMikdash, and therefore you got to watch out for that. Ushua sheker al te'ehavu. Love not false oaths. Ki es kol eila asher sanesi no masham. All of these things I hate. So Rabbi Sai, the Rebbe is giving the recipe for success. Emes, Mishpat, Shalom, Tadshe haaretz Deshe. And then if we do that, then we have Kitayv. Rabbi Sai, have a great...
You've just experienced another Torah class brought to you by TorahAnytime.com.